See, we plan ahead. That way we don't do anything right now.
I think about lots of things. Now, why don't we not stand here talking about them and get down to doing them?
To begin.
Clytus, I'm bored.
To begin.
What plaything can you offer me today?
How to start.
Welcome to The First Syllable, a show about writing. And this episode will actually be short, because the only writing thing I did in the last few days is go back to Death, that sort of second draft. And I accepted all the changes, because I had it set in Word to track changes. Saved a PDF version, so I could send it to a friend who wanted to read the script. And then I color-coded first, then I made the PDF. I color-coded it based on the years, just because I was curious. Is the script primarily red? Is it primarily blue? Is it primarily green? Those colors are arbitrary. Red for 2017, green for 85, and blue for 2001. Arbitrary, I just needed distinct colors. Hard to see when you zoom out enough to actually see a good amount of it. At first I had a red and orange, and they blended together too much visually, so I switched to green. But now I think the green and the blue kind of blend together a bit visually when I zoom out. But what I want to do next with the script is just read it. Try not to make any marks, any comments in the margins. Just read it. Then, to get the true second draft, or I guess at this point I could call it a third draft, I want to go through and expand. I want bullet points, things that need to be there. We need to see some of the 2017 crew planning out scenes, thinking about what they're going to do in the movie. It was a specific idea I had before I even started writing it, where I would have them talk about how you could shoot a scene on this staircase right here, because it's so close to the basement door. And then later there would be a scene that takes place at the bottom of the stairs, so close to the basement door, and we'd get scenes later that repeat. I did include one of those, which is when two of the characters go look at the shed out in the back. One of them says, I believe it's AJ. Yeah, that would make sense. AJ says, yeah, this would be a great place to die. You can't see my face, but there's a grin. There's a grimace. There's a wink. I don't know what's going on my face right now, but that's very on the nose. So guess what happens to AJ? Dies right by that shed. Not technically in it, but close enough. But I want more of that. I want more of seeing them do things. I don't just want it to go, hey, we arrived this afternoon, tonight we're having a seance, and then we all die. But they don't know they're all going to die, but that's how the structure goes. And so I want it to feel like it's more like a whole weekend of them being at this house. And so they're planning out things of the film and figuring out what their story is going to be, this film that they want to make. And then I also have to have similar stuff with the other two groups. That's the hard part. It's easy with the filmmaking group. I could talk about the 2001 group has essentially been reframed so that instead of two of them being in a band, the whole group is kind of a band. And I want there to be some sort of implication that their band is doing music for the movie. I don't know how to make that implication when they can't interact. So that's hard. But then there's also the problem of I don't know how to fit the 85 group into this implication that all of these people are in the house for the same reason. The quick timeline meant all I had to do was have them go in and out of the same rooms. Didn't matter that we didn't see them interact. We feel like they interact because they're there. It's like that Sixth Sense scene where Bill Murray and apologies from editing. Apparently I had Groundhog Day on my mind. Bill Murray's not in the Sixth Sense. I think I started with the B sound of Bruce Willis and just got stuck. Bruce Willis. Tony Collette are sitting across from each other in the chairs, and it feels like a conversation just ended and they're waiting. So we don't notice that we missed the conversation, and they don't really look at each other. Sixth Sense, of course, being something that is referenced in the script. It says, I see dead people. But some of that's hard. I already said I wanted more with Susan and Ed. I need more, I think, between Ringo and Frenchie. I need a lot more between the Marys. Mary and Mary Jane. There's an implication already, and I think I'd like it since I got rid of the threesome element in the first draft. There's an implication in the dialogue at one point that Elsie is inviting what was Katie but is now Vic. Elsie is inviting Vic to join her and Charlie in bed. And it's played off as a joke, but then she's kind of like, well, unless we're into that. And there could be more of that element of those characters interacting in that way. We could have more of them actually practicing their music. And then somehow maybe a conversation could be like, so where would this be in the movie? What movie they're talking about? I don't know. I have to be vague about the terminology because they can't say what they're doing it for. Just like the movie people can't comment on the other people in the house. I knew it was going to be complicated to do the script. I didn't know how much more complicated it would get with each step. But hey, that's the next steps for that one. As far as other writing things, the next step for Chase Two Rabbits is to start boiling down my notes into a sort of bullet point order of events. But also it's a tricky one to write because it is character driven, but not main character driven. Our narrator is the detective, but he has a tendency I want him to have a tendency to talk more about other people than himself because of who he is. So it's more of him telling other people's stories than telling his own. But also the plot is a mystery, but not exactly. That's stuff I have to figure out, which is why I haven't gotten around to writing it yet when I had thought about starting it once I was in summer break. So I think I will continue working on Death, Death, Death while I also work on figuring out some stuff for Chase Two Rabbits. And we'll see how all those things go. Meanwhile, if you also listen to the Groundhog Day Project, today's episode's a doozy. Go listen, if you don't already.
Cut. Perfect.
I should get coffee. Coffee would help me think. But I should write something first, then reward myself with coffee. Coffee and a muffin.
You still here?
Okay, so I need to establish the themes.
It's over. Go home.
Maybe banana nut. That's a good muffin.
Go.